Welcome back everybody, and after a brief absence, the content train resumes. This video, we're headed back to Jigokuraku or Hell's Paradise to examine its main character, Gabimaru, and we'll be going over his origins, abilities, feats, and story impact in the anime and manga, so quick spoiler alert. And by doing this, we'll determine not only who, but exactly how powerful is Gabimaru the Hollow. I should also state before starting that as Gabimaru is the focus of this video, I'll be intentionally leaving out plotline spoilers that do not involve him. So if you want to go ahead and find and read Jigokuraku, or wait for the rest of the anime to come out before you get up to speed, do that. Starting with his origins, Gabimaru is said to have been born to two parents who were shinobi of the village of Jigokuraku, the Stone Village. Shortly after his birth, however, his parents were killed by the village's leader for attempting to go rogue. Who exactly they were is unknown, but this begins the absolute hell that is Gabimaru's childhood. The village of Stone, while shinobi in the popular sense, are basically a militaristic cult of assassins. The village of the Stone follows insanely strict practices and beliefs. From a young age, its members are ruthlessly trained in the mind and body, despite death or injury. Their training will continue no matter how many of them die. They undergo torturous methods like numbing their bodies to pain, poison, and outside stimuli, all to make them the perfect killing machines. And this is training that only 1 out of 10 participants manage to survive. There is no normal life in the Stone. Men are disposable pawns and the women are used as breeding stock to keep the clan's numbers high. And it's unknown if many children in the village were orphaned in a similar way as Gabimaru, but it's likely either way, as orphaned or unloved children, they sadly become the most doggishly loyal soldiers. And the Stone Ninja are loyal to the point they will kill anyone or themselves without hesitation. They are barely individuals. As ninjas of the Stone Village, they are expendable, living weapons in a sense. They are treated as tools to accomplish the mission. And one of the weirder practices is the title of Gabimaru itself. Though we think it's a name, Gabimaru the Hollow is a title bestowed on only the most feared and deadly ninja in the village. To even gain the name, the challenger must kill the former holder of the title, which our Gabimaru did with relative ease. For his infamy, Gabimaru received status, his own home, and was even granted the village chief's 8th daughter as a bride. This created a change in Gabimaru, his wife being the polar opposite of him, and of what the village stood for. She was thoughtful, loving, and most importantly, saw him for something other than a hollow man, but a husband and lover. This changed Gabimaru intensely, likely being the first nurturing influence he's had in his entire life. The toss-up now is that he had something to lose, to protect, and something to make sure he came back alive, which is a direct contrast to how he was trained, causing, as he said, a loss to his edge. Thus, Gabimaru asked the chief's permission to leave the village and, be happy with his wife, and is immediately set upon by his fellow ninja cause like a gang, Stone Ninja shit is for life. This places us at the start of the story with Gabimaru, betrayed by his people and set for execution. Only, he won't die. Gabimaru's body is literally too strong to be damaged by normal means, and this is where we get into the scaling for his first few feats of durability. He survives death by beheading, breaking the sword, this sword being, I assume, a steel katana, and while you can easily chip or crack one, it's unheard that it would shatter unless it's poorly made. Next, he survives being stabbed by a spear, breaking the spearhead. He then survives death by bull, leaving the bulls dying from exhaustion. An average human's legs could only resist roughly 1,102 pounds of force, while these oxen could produce nearly 2,100 pounds of force. Realistically, like going against the strength of a hydraulic press or small car. Gabimaru's durability gets even more absurd as he was also sentenced to death by immolation, aka burning at the stake, a method that not only suffocates the victim but additionally cooks them alive and smothers them. And he was fine, naked but perfectly unharmed. And a step further, he even survives death by burning oil. And the manga states that the oil used ignites at 370 degrees. Gabimaru, again, outside of his clothes, took no damage, and no damage was caused except for the nearby guards catching on fire. It's only when Sagiri is set as his executioner that Gabimaru comes to grips with the fact that he isn't ready to die. From here, we have a small series of feats with him slaughtering his fellow prisoners, mainly the fact that even with his hands bound, Gabimaru's body is a literal weapon. Hands like claws, teeth like fangs, and feet like talons, he can effortlessly tear apart base level humans with ease. So far, I place Gabimaru at superhuman levels of strength/durability, being comparable, I feel, to an Anbu Black Ops level ninja in Naruto, and this is before he even engaged in any actual combat. Gabimaru and the few remaining prisoners are sent to Kotaku Island to retrieve the elixir of immortality for the Shogun. However, once on the island, his feats increase exponentially, because almost immediately after coming ashore, he's ambushed by the warrior monk Warped Kiyun. Gabimaru survives a ball and chain to the head by dislocating his own neck, and Kiyun gets a light introduction as it's revealed he's a battle slut to the point he got armor sewn into his body. And all this doesn't matter as Kiyun goes on to get utterly obliterated by Gabimaru off-screen by his own weaponry. Now, adding on, Gabimaru's non-combat strengths additionally appear. His high environmental awareness instantly flags the island as a danger, the lush surroundings, bountiful flora local to the mainland, and disturbing lack of animals has instantly flagged something on his radar. And after a brief scuffle with Sagiri, Gabimaru with minimal difficulty bodies a crowd of Soshin. Soshin are the giant beasts that inhabit the outer ring of the island. Though they aren't in the inner circles, they serve as the titan-like guardians of the outer layers. Surrounded by several Soshin, Gabimaru forgoes analyzing surroundings and switches to ballistic mode, cutting, slashing, and exploding through these massive monsters. And the first Soshin he fought displayed Gabimaru's durability yet again, as it wrapped him in its barbed tentacles and smashed him through the trees in the surrounding area, and he still showed little damage. Next in the gauntlet, Gabimaru encounters Rokuroda. Rokuroda was a giant, so large that throughout his life everything he played with broke, including his parents. Rokuroda killed Lord Aizen. No, not that one. Isamon Aizen was the leader and head executioner of the Yamada clan, being the main teacher and influence for damn near the entire samurai cast. Yeah, he got one-shotted, left looking like Gojo, with a shattered sword and a Ran fade. Rokuroda didn't even take damage from their encounter. His body was so hard that none of Gabimaru's attacks could do any damage, and Gabimaru even acknowledged a head-on strike from Rokuroda would kill him. So to put Rokuroda's strength into context, Gabimaru is the same dude that two bulls couldn't rip apart and that can't be burned alive or beheaded. Rokuroda was a literal in-game boss during the tutorial, though here again we have to note Gabimaru's high battle IQ. After exhausting his entire suite of ninjutsu, he intentionally ignites the surrounding forest to literally suffocate Rokuroda and bring the giant to his knees, so that with him holding him down, Sagiri can deliver the final blow. Gabimaru technically couldn't even win this fight. Rokuroda, however, is an extremely rare case of someone that at the start of the story was stronger than Gabimaru, as he somehow did have manipulation of his Tao, which is what made his body seem so indestructible. Rokuroda's ability to strengthen his body was actually in series level, being on the level of the latter Tensen like Ran. Who knows what would have happened if Rokuroda wasn't killed, though I'm sure the Tensen were probably way too intelligent to lose to him, so Rokuroda glaze aside. Next comes one of Gabimaru's most defining feats in the current anime, his encounter and battle with Jujin the Tensen. After encountering each other at the main gate to the Tensen's lair, Gabimaru and Jujin clash. Gabimaru instantly in the exchange breaks their arm, neck, and then goes blow for an extended time, even once again breaking Jujin's neck and lighting them on fire. Jujin even acknowledging it's been centuries since someone as strong as Gabimaru has appeared, and at this point shifts back to their female form and starts blasting Gabimaru with Tao attacks. And surprisingly, Gabimaru once again throws away all strategic thinking and just decides to turn the battle into a slugfest, one that he won. Gabimaru actually outsped and outdamaged one of the Tensen's healing factors and ultimately forced the use of Shujin's Kishiki form. The Kishiki form is basically like a second evolution, or I assume the Tensen releasing their true monstrous nature, or letting the power of Tao kind of express itself, I don't know. But this is pre-awareness to Tao. Gabimaru is beating a godlike being with only his life experience as a shinobi. And while this is all impressive and next level for him, he is immediately outclassed and gets hit by a torrent of lightning faster than he can react, so we can safely say at this point in the story, Gabimaru is definitely not light speed for sure. He's then picked up by the awakened Jujin and nearly crushed to death. Here, however, we see Ninja Rule 34 come through. If faced with a superior opponent and escape is impossible, a ninja is selfishly expected to do their best to inflict injury or death before defeat, even at the cost of one's life. And the village chief had actually trained Gabimaru to do so even if he was unconscious. So unconsciously, Gabimaru was still strong enough to inflict severe damage on a full-form Tensen Furthermore, when pushed to death, he is still capable of fighting back while knocked out with the sole goal of taking his enemy with him. Though technically without Mei's help, and I'll explain who she is if you don't know later, Gabimaru would have died to his battle with Zujin. This is actually still a significant feat, as not only did Gabimaru fight the Tensen with a positive Tau affinity against his own, he had been running a sort of gauntlet since he got to the island. The other prisoners were killed by each other, their guard, or by another Tensen. So by comparison, characters like the Chobe brothers fought and were effortlessly defeated by the Tensen. Though these Tensen were stronger than Zujin, this is a direct example to how Gabimaru is above the other prisoners in terms of ability. Now, explaining for a brief second, Tau is the life force that exists within all things in the world, whether living, non-living, spiritual, or anything in between. And the ability to manipulate Tau is the ability to touch upon the origins of creation itself, as all things that exist stem from an endless flow of Tau. This is why ninjas like Gabimaru and Kunoichi like Yuzihara can light their bodies on fire, secrete poison, make stones, or hide in others' presence, etc. So even though Gabimaru is of the Stone Village and does utilize Tau in his ninjutsu, he can't to the extent of the Tensen, who have practiced it for thousands of years and whose control of it is magical or nigh godlike. So after encountering the Doshi, humanoid creatures that assist the Tensen, Gabimaru slowly develops his understanding of Tau in the flow of combat, and sees that it requires both being strong and weak. And the discipline of such is what opens you to an entirely different world, or the perfect balance between vulnerable and volatile. Due to his high battle IQ, he literally goes, alright, I got it now. And with this understanding of Tau cemented, Gabimaru can now pinpoint specific weaknesses in his enemy's defense, essentially having the Byakugan from Naruto, and using this effortlessly to demolish the Doshi. And this is where, in the anime, it's currently stopped. So, if you're an anime-only person, spoilers ahead, because you've got another couple months before they start dropping more. You've been warned. Gabimaru, due to constantly fighting in a state of exhaustion and expending his Tau, passes out, and when he awakens has lost a significant portion of his own memories. This makes Gabimaru do a 180 in terms of his psychology and mentality. He doesn't know who anyone is or why he's on the island, he just knows he's there for a mission. More importantly, his ruthless and cold nature has returned. The next battle is Gabimaru versus Choso. So, as a fan of both of these characters, I honestly hate to have to compare, but due to Gabimaru's personality reset, Choso, who now has access to Tau, is far stronger, but this doesn't stop Gabimaru within the first few seconds of their fight from chewing away the tendons and striking Choso's vitals and taking sick delight in the battle. Eyes, throat, soft tissue, Gabimaru even bites off several of Choso's fingers after getting punched in the face. And though Gabimaru is actually still weaker, as he's forgotten his wife and this led to his Tau being disrupted, he's fighting, as the onlookers put it, like a wild beast. This leads him to once again Ninja Rule 34 to try and burn himself and Choso alive. It's only when he recovers and receives physical Tau from Sagiri with some sort of ritual that his mental state is restored, and finally the final motions of Hell's Paradise begin to unfold. With the first waves of Isemon and prisoners not succeeding, the Shogun sends another wave. 3 Isemon, who we'll talk about in detail later, Shugen, Izuyu, and Kiyomaru. More importantly, the Shogunate employ the services of the Stone Village, specifically top elites and 50 grunts, with numbers so stacked that it's obvious they're here for something other than a peacekeeping mission. That something else is Gabimaru. While individually, the ninja might not be as capable as the samurai, it's quickly shown that they make up for it with numbers and sheer tenacity. Due to a sneaky plan from the Choso brothers, Gabimaru and his party get no element of surprise against the Tensen and instantly find themselves isolated and ambushed when they try to infiltrate the temple. Here, Gabimaru and Yuzihara come to blows with the air Tensen, Ran. Now, Ran is a special case amongst the Tensen, as he is the outright martial artist. He seeks to further gain balance with his body and Tau through exercise, and thus his Tau defense is more like a suit of multi-layered armor, making him far more durable than Zujin or the other Tensen they had encountered to now. Here we see Gabimaru has learned how to counter stronger opponents by weakening his own Tau and riding the flow of their attacks like a river to revert the impact of their attacks back at them. This, along with Gabimaru's overall status as a unit, forces Rin for the first time in centuries to release his Kashiki form, in which he utterly obliterates the two shinobi, severely injuring Gabimaru, forcing Yurihaza to prompt a retreat, and even then, Ran's attacks are still relentless, landing a mortal injury on Gabimaru, Gabimaru, and here's where we essentially get his last power-up for the series. So, see, the process of Tao and refining it on this island takes place in many ways. Some individuals have innately powerful Tao and an understanding of it, but most have to be exposed to or come directly into contact with it. One of the side effects of this process is aborification, or turning into tree people. Where the tan flower booms in one's body, this process begins. Choso being a specific example, as his strong will to live and ego actually strengthened his mind and body and repelled the infection, but in our particular case, Gabimaru directly injected himself with one of Zujin's blooms, rapidly progressing the aborification and essentially making himself not human anymore. Now, with a body like a Tensen, Gabimaru is capable of regenerating fatal injuries and the like, though this doesn't give him that much of an edge, because the Tensen have been perfecting their technique in their bodies for centuries. However, we see that Gabimaru's brilliant battle strategy yet again triumphs. He and Yuzihara launch a gauntlet of ninjutsu, and though Ran blocks all of this, they notice that Ran reacts to visual stimuli the same as normal humans. They launched all these attacks not to injure, but to essentially burn out the timer on Ran's Kashiki form. And though this is only possible from the information the group gained from Mei, together they managed to defeat Ran in a half-withered state. Important things to note about Gabimaru's aborification though. The more he regenerates, the faster it will take hold, until eventually he ends up no different than the villagers that once lived on the island. So there's a sort of sense of urgency. Subsequently, around the palace, the separate teams conclude their battles with the Tensen around the same time, but like I said, skipping past those spoilers, the second wave of the Emperor's forces arrive, and almost instantly the Stone Ninja locate and take into custody everyone in the palace. Here, though exhausted from his previous battles, Gabimaru effortlessly kills 4 of the grunts that managed to apprehend him, and states, just from I guess a sixth sense, that the new Gabimaru is here. Now, going back, remember from earlier in the video, Gabimaru is not a name per se, but a title to the top village ninja of the stone. Through flashbacks, we come to learn the true nature of our Gabimaru's succession. While Gabimaru was indeed level-headed and ruthless, the true reason he was accelerated to his title is because whenever another initiate bullied him or teased him or so much as plotted behind his back, they died. The elder originally thought it was Gabimaru, but the truth is that the newly crowned Gabimaru, aka Shija, was the one who did these murderings. Every time someone mistreated our Gabimaru, Shija killed them. When kids laughed, Shija killed them. When Gabimaru earned his title by beating his predecessor, it was again Shija who quelled any rumors of backtalk about his succession. Why? Because Shija is perversely in love with Gabimaru, to what seems like a point of euphoria. This is because I guess Shija got turned on seeing Gabimaru's true nature, sorta like a Takeda Oma and Setsu Kiryu from King and Ashura type deal. But Shija fell in a twisted love with the thought of Gabimaru. But what becomes evident is the entire Stone Village is relatively sick in the head. When confronted by 2 high-level ninjas that attempt psychological warfare on him, Gabimaru applauds them at how much they've improved and literally starts having a casual conversation with his old friends. Eventually, it's made clear that the ninja came to the island under the guise of helping the Emperor, but truly to eliminate Gabimaru from history. The shinobi stating that to even get to face Gabimaru in a battle to the death would be the highest honor, line up, and disturbingly, one of the worst things here is that most of the ninjas seem to be extremely young. Teenagers at most. With smiles on their face, every single one of them is cut down in a flash by Gabimaru. Going further, each one of them gladly dies as Gabimaru murks them while giving them life-ending advice, even one-shotting one of the Jonin level ninjas easily. But moving forward, the next significant event we see is that halfway through the war for Kotaku Island, there are dozens of separate skirmishings taking place all around the landfill. And to make matters immensely worse, somehow Zujin survived their battle with Nurgai and the Blind Swordsman and has fused with a giant plant and turned into a botanical Tensen Kaiju. This has massive effects on the island, infecting many with the aborification petals and causing increased aborification in already afflicted people like Mei, Gabimaru, or Choso. The group has to band together with the more level-headed of the samurai, and thus Gabimaru and Sagiri get paired up and head out. But in response to the invaders, the monsterized Zujin creates Tensen clones to defend each weak point. And the shock comes when Gabimaru and Sagiri witness every clone get butchered as Shija appears. Now, I have to acknowledge how actually batshit Shija is. When Gabimaru in the past talked to a group of young ninja, they said they wanted to grow up to be just like him. Shija killed them, simply for wanting to be like Gabimaru. Like, bro, come on, imagine getting stomped out for having a childhood idol. And furthermore, like a jealous girlfriend, the moment Sagiri touches Gabimaru, Shija tries to kill her, and despite reasoning, agrees to actually help Gabimaru get off the island by resurrecting his true self, aka a fight to the death. In the first stages of the battle, Gabi and Shija exchange blows but seem evenly matched, moving so fast in their battle that Sagiri says they move inhumanly, which in my opinion means Gabimaru has gotten into the realm of moving faster than sound, or maybe light. At least, this I am also confirming Gabimaru moving faster than the human eye can detect, as Sagiri even had some understanding of Tao and still couldn't keep up with him. Here, he was fast enough he could not only clash with Shija's acidic blaze and still counter, but was also able to just randomly kill the Tensen that were appearing. Gabimaru confirms that Shija knows more ninjutsu than him and decides to bring the battle to close quarters when Shija reveals that they can pretty much read Gabimaru's mind. And though it's phrased that Shija's love for Gabimaru and his obsession is so intense that they just know everything about him, but I think it's more of he's heavily in tune with Gabimaru's Tao, literally being strong and weak in his crazed love for Gabimaru. This allows him to match Gabimaru blow for blow, and even Gabimaru has to state that he is not capable of currently winning. Shija just continues to get angry as he noticed Gabimaru is not only losing, but is still trying to protect Sagiri, who he calls the Hag. Gabimaru is seemingly taken out of commission until Shija, I assume trying to make him slip into despair, mentions his wife and how everything that the two had done together was a farce, and how the two of them were nothing more than puppets playing house for the village's goals. But it's here where Gabimaru's body resurges, fighting off the aborification, having something to anchor himself in, once again, vulnerability. Just the promise of his wife even existing is enough for Gabimaru to stand back up, and in round 2, he's more than a match for Shija. The story even flashbacks to the two and shows how Gabimaru essentially inspired and trained Shija in their childhood. And even though Shija lands a perfectly executed kill move on Gabimaru's heart, Gabi states that he is no longer human, and in an almost romantic way, takes Shija's hand and lights them both on fire. I won't waste too much time going deeper into Shija's personality, but after being defeated, they use a hair ninjutsu signaling to the rest of the Stone Village's invasion force to literally off themselves and clear the way for Gabimaru. So, as we move forward, keeping spoilers to an absolute minimum because we're at the end series now, the final battle takes place aboard the boat built to infect the mainland. The remaining Isamon and prisoners have banded together in one final attempt to defeat Rien, the head of the Tensen. This battle isn't going well, with everyone easily falling in battle and Gabimaru seemingly succumbing to aborification. If not for Sagiri, here again Gabimaru would have died. She saved him not through plot armor, but by literally performing surgery on him, cutting out the root and limbs affected by the aborification and using her own Tao to heal him and keep him alive as she did. And as you know, Gabimaru's infection ran deep, so Sagiri literally had to dismember and even behead him to fully bring him back. Despite all they've been through, even with Sir Shugen, they are still not enough to defeat Rien, and it's only by catching them off guard and, quite frankly here, plot armor, that they survive, as Rien uses the last of her Tao to restore their injuries. This is only because Gabimaru hesitated when destroying the petrified body of Rien's lover. I guess he could relate to having a partner or something, Batman versus Superman, my mom, your mom logic. But from here, Gabimaru's story actually does end happily. Once they manage to not die in their encounter with Rien, they do escape the Shogun's gaze, and through coordination, the remaining samurai effectively snitch on the Stone Village and it gets raided, with its leader dying and the ninja clan being disbanded. Gabimaru's wife, Yue, is real, and so is her love for Gabimaru, and the two are finally reunited, with Gabimaru even eventually finding a village that would accept him and learning how to farm in exchange for showing them how to kill, but nothing's ever perfect because he, of course, slaughters the corrupt leader and his goons of the village, but happy endings. There are a few more things I left out, but overall, that's the tale of Gabimaru the Hollow. Despite his hellhole of a life, Gabimaru always kept moving forward, and in a way, what Shija had said about resurrecting the real Gabimaru came to be true. The Gabimaru that was both strong and weak, and that had something to lose and someone to return back to. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be returning to Hell's Paradise more often in 2025, as we should be getting another season of it animated soon. But as one of my favorite ongoing anime, it has no shortage of content-worthy topics. But without further ado, I'd like to thank everyone for watching, and remember, stay safe and stay sane.